In Sokoto State, residents are concerned about the security situation, particularly in the Eastern Senatorial District, where there are alleged threats by notorious bandit leader Bello Turji to launch attacks. Some stakeholders in the area are calling on the government and security agencies to intervene in the plight of communities sacked by activities of Bello Turji. The secretary of the Sokoto Eastern Zone Development Association, Professor Muazu Shamaki, confirms that the recent videos circulating on social media where members of Tidibale are seen vacating their communities following an alleged threat from Bello Turji is a trend that has subjected residents to untold hardship. Also speaking on the matter, Malam Bashaltine Guaya said some of the affected members are now taking refuge in some communities in Niger Republic.
So picture this. It's Tuesday night in a small community called Gajit in Sokoto State. Everything is quiet. People are sleeping. Then, out of nowhere, the sound of motorcycles fills the air. Not just a few, but many, many of them. Armed men, loyal to a man named Bello Turji, storm into the village. Chaos, gunshots, people running in the dark. When the sun comes up, at least 2 people are lying wounded, and over 20 neighbors, mothers, fathers, sons, are gone, taken. Just like that. Their crime? Living in a village that hasn't agreed to bow down to a bandit's rule.
Now, let's be clear. This was not an isolated event. It was part of a calculated campaign. To understand the attack on Gajit, we have to rewind just one day. On Monday night, the same group of terrorists launched a brutal raid on Tidibale village in the neighboring Isa local government area. They came in overwhelming numbers, their goal clear: to seize control. The panic was so absolute that villagers fled their homes in the middle of the night. Think about that for a second. You're in a deep sleep and you are jolted awake by the sounds of violence. You have seconds to decide. Grab your children and run or hide. There are videos online that show this exact scene. Scores of vehicles, overloaded with people and the few belongings they could carry, streaming out of the village in a desperate convoy. These are not soldiers retreating. These are farmers, teachers, mothers, and grandparents becoming refugees in their own land. Why is this happening now? According to locals and security observers, Bello Turji is sending a brutal message. After months of relative quiet, he is reasserting his power and his so-called relevance. He is warning communities of dire consequences if they do not align with him. It's a mafia-style tactic, but with weapons of war. He is creating a geography of fear, drawing a map with violence. And this leads me to a critical question for you all. When a terrorist issues a threat like this, who carries the bigger responsibility to protect the people? The community leaders trying to survive, or the government whose primary job is security? I want you to really think about that and tell me your opinion in the comments below.
The human cost of this power play is staggering. We're talking about farmers who should be on their land preparing the soil for the next harvest. Instead, they are sleeping on crowded floors in relatives' homes in towns like Isa or Gidan Hamisu, or they fled even further to places like Shinkafi in Zamfara State. An elderly man who escaped told a reporter, "We left everything behind. Life is more important than crops." Let that sink in. Your life's work, your source of food and income, abandoned because staying meant death or kidnapping. The elderly, the women, the children, they are the most vulnerable in this crisis, and they are paying the highest price for a conflict they did not create. This isn't just a security problem. It's a humanitarian disaster that will lead to hunger and deeper poverty long after the attackers have left.
And here's a twist that exposes the heartbreaking choices people are forced to make. While villages in Sokoto State like Gajit and Tidibale are being attacked, some communities over the border in Zamfara State, including Shinkafi Town, Katuru, Janjeru, and Kanwa, are reportedly under a truce with Bello Turji. What does this truce mean? It's not a peace agreement. It's a forced arrangement where the villages pledge not to confront the bandits or report their activities to the security forces. In exchange, they are theoretically left alone. Residents themselves call it a survival strategy, not consent. They are essentially paying a ransom with their silence and their freedom because they believe the state cannot protect them. This is what commentator Altini Gayawa meant when he said this crisis has reshaped the geography of fear. Turji focuses his violence on areas that resist, like Isa, Sabon Birni, Goronyo, Wurno, and Raba. He uses terror to force submission elsewhere.
This creates a moral dilemma that is tearing these rural communities apart. So I have to ask you, if you were the head of a village and you saw your neighbors being slaughtered for resisting, but you also saw that the army couldn't stop the attacks, what would you do? Would you enter a truce to save your people today, even if it means letting a criminal rule you? Or would you resist, hoping for help that may never come in time? This is the impossible choice facing thousands. Share your perspective in the comments. There are no easy answers here.
What makes this situation even more frustrating is the feeling of abandonment. Despite repeated assurances from authorities, the attacks continue. Communities feel left on their own. The bandits move with boldness, in large numbers, as if they have no fear of being confronted by security forces. This erodes trust completely. When people lose faith that their government can shield them, they are forced into these impossible survival pacts with the very terrorists tormenting them. It's a vicious cycle that only makes the bandits stronger. If you are watching this and you believe that no citizen should ever have to negotiate with terrorists for their basic safety, then you need to be part of this conversation. Hit the like button and subscribe to this channel right now. We are dedicated to amplifying these stories and demanding accountability, and we need your support to keep doing it.
Let's talk about Bello Turji himself. He is not a ghost or a rumor. He is a real person making calculated decisions. His periods of silence, as Gayawa notes, are strategic. They are followed by explosive violence to remind everyone, communities and the government, that he is still in control. It is about relevance and control, Gayawa warns. And the currency he uses to buy that relevance is human lives. The psychological warfare is as damaging as the physical attacks. People are living in a state of constant anxiety, wondering if their village is next, if tonight is the night the motorcycles come. This terror stifles life, economy, and hope.
The long-term consequences are devastating. Beyond the immediate killings and kidnappings, this crisis is creating a lost generation. Children are out of school, traumatized by violence and displacement. Agriculture, the lifeblood of these regions, is collapsing. If farmers cannot plant, hunger becomes the next wave of this crisis. The social fabric that holds communities together, trust, cooperation, shared history, is being shredded by fear and displacement. We are looking at the slow-motion destruction of an entire way of life. So, what is the way out? More military patrols are needed, yes, but they are clearly not enough on their own. There needs to be a smarter, more comprehensive strategy. This includes not just reacting to attacks, but proactively securing vulnerable villages to prevent them. It means cutting off the bandits' networks. How do they get their sophisticated weapons? Who is financing them? Where are their informants? There must also be a major coordinated effort to support the tens of thousands of displaced people with proper shelter, food, and medical care so their suffering is not compounded. Most importantly, there must be a clear, demonstrated will to bring kingpins like Turji to justice. Impunity is the fuel for this crisis. As we near the end of this deep dive, I want you to hold on to the human faces of this story. Remember the family piling into a car with only a few bags. Remember the farmer looking back at his field, knowing his year's income is gone. Their courage is immense, and their plight cannot be ignored. This is a fight for the soul of these regions. If you believe in a Nigeria where every citizen can live in their home without fear, then your voice matters. Help us make that voice louder. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already,
and hit that notification bell so you never miss our updates on this critical issue. We are in this together.
Finally, let's turn our anger and our empathy into a demand for action. We must keep saying the names Gajit, Tidibale, Bagaja. We must keep telling the stories of the displaced. Silence from the wider public is what these bandits and their sponsors count on. Don't let the story end here. Let's keep the pressure on. What one concrete action do you think would make the biggest difference right now? Meta-policing, community vigilance groups, economic investment? Put your ideas in the comment section. Let's brainstorm solutions. And if this breakdown has opened your eyes, do your part. Like this video, share it with everyone you know, and subscribe. Our collective attention is the first most powerful step towards change.